start off by welcoming any new members. Do we have any new members in the room? No new members in the room. Maybe if you're on Zoom, if you want to say hi, if you're a new member. Also, we want to thank any returning members. And do we have any new visitors in the room or on Zoom? Oh, yay, we have one in here. Thank you for joining us. Awesome. And then we also always like to thank our Zoom audience. Thanks for tuning in with us. And I chose this photo to show tonight because this is the time of year that everybody starts wanting to tidy up, clean up their yards, but it's important to remember that there might be a lot of really important things happening in there. And if you can leave some of those stems up, leave some of those seeds out, you might be able to really provide some safety for wildlife and some food for wildlife. We do have some announcements here. We've got an announcement from the state. This is the NPSOT Challenge Bio Blitz. If you would like to join in, happening this week. This is Native Plant Week, and you can join through our website or by using this QR code. I'll leave it up for just a second. We got some people trying to get the photo. Did you get it? We can pull it up after the main presentation as well, just so folks have a chance to get it. And speaking of bio blitzes, our chapter kicked off this Native Plant Week with a successful bio blitz at the San Antonio Arboretum. We want to thank all the volunteers that helped, and we want to give a special thanks to Peter Hernandez, our fearless leader, who has really done an amazing job for our chapter for San Antonio using INAT. And the folks that were there recorded 471 observations with 94 new species for the site. And that's pretty amazing. I think we should. And speaking of volunteers, we're holding a special appreciation event for anyone that volunteered in 2024. And it's happening on Sunday, November 10th from 1 to 4. If you volunteered in 2024 and you did not already receive an email about this, we offer sincere apologies. We did our best to try to capture everyone, but if you did volunteer and didn't get the email, please reach out to npsotsavolunteers@gmail.com and we will send you that invitation. We also want to let you know about our updated chapter bonfire store with some chapter merchandise. You can see a t-shirt, sweatshirt here, and a cap. You can use that QR code or search for NPSOT San Antonio on bonfire.com. So as I mentioned earlier, this is our last chapter meeting for the year. Save the date for our next meeting, which will be in 2025, January 28th. And for tonight's presentation, we're really excited to have folks from the Northside ISD. Sorry, it's getting covered. Did I say, am I right? Northside? Okay. Oh, wait, Jerry's raising his hand because I totally forgot to mention something. Let me backtrack really quick. Jerry and others are setting up a moth light outside tonight. So after the meeting, when everything's done, if you go outside and to this corner over here, is that right, Jerry?
Yes, Jamie Weedness, her portable moth set up. We're setting something. And hopefully there'll be a lot of moths there. Not
So,
gonna be a lot of other, but
yes, portable moth light. There might be some really, really cool moths out there afterwards. So if you're in the room, when you leave, go over there and check that out. Thanks, Jerry. I told him if I forgot to do it to raise his hand, and he did. Okay, so here we are back on track for tonight's presentation on restoration endeavors using native plants. We have Amalia Salers, Isaac Esquivel, and David Oberg. And we'll transition over to their presentation. Do we have any other things that are happening when we're transitioning or no? Not tonight. Okay, awesome. So bear with us while we transition over here. We're sharing. Awesome. Welcome up, you guys. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Okay. Thank you for asking us to come and present some of our program. So we're from Northside Independent School District, and we're just going to introduce ourselves a little bit and microphone.
Yeah,
Okay.
microphone. Yeah.
Introduce ourselves a little bit and give you a little bit of background before we kind of talk about the programs that we're going to talk about. My name is Amalia Solers, and I coordinate after-school programs that our science department offers after school, tuition-free, and our teachers are the sponsors of these programs. And one of them is Project Acorn, which is our after-school environmental education program that I'm going to talk about tonight. My background comes in environmental science. And so that's initially why I was hired on for Northside ISD, specifically to grow Project Acorn. So that's kind of been the longest program that I've had on my desk. And then it kind of transitioned to other roles. But that's kind of how I ended up kind of spearheading this project. And anything else I need to mention?
I think you got it.
Okay, that's good. All right. We talked about this a lot. You can tell right before we came in.
Hello, everybody. My name is Isaac Esquivel. I am currently the 5th grade environmental science teacher for NISD. And so my role is I basically travel to all 83 of our campuses. I was traveling twice a year, and this year we made some changes. So I'm only going once and have been given some extra duties, but I do get to travel all 83 campuses, and I do an outdoor lesson with the students, with every 5th grader at that campus. And it's really my dream job. I'm full of gratitude that I get to do that. And so what kind of led me into this position was I was a 7th grade life science middle school science teacher for many years. And we started with vegetables, and really got to work with vegetables and grow vegetables. And then actually Acorn, I met Amalia while I was there, and David Olberg, and started to learn more about native plants. And so we introduced those to our campus and have just been hooked ever since. So really happy to get here to speak to you about what we do. I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to David.
I'm David Oberg, science teacher at Northside for 37 years before retiring, and then started volunteering with our schools to help these teachers out. They kind of dragged me in and have supported me, and I'm also helping them out with some of these campuses that you're going to see pictures of today. I am a master naturalist. They're both master naturalists. So I like to brag because I was class 3. So I know I'm old.
Awesome. All right. Maybe not. Okay. It's okay. All right. So we're going to just start with a little bit about Project Acorn, move into our 5th grade program. Isaac's also going to share about the Canopy program that was initiated last year. And then David's going to share a little bit more detail on some of our campuses around Project Acorn. And then we have some future projects that we want to tell you about as well. So one of the things that we're all passionate about is just students at campuses spending time outdoors while learning, but also just connecting to the outdoors. There's a ton of research now that has been collected around academic outcomes, behavior outcomes, social and emotional outcomes for students. And so this research has been really important for us as a department to point to why we do what we do and why it's important for students. And you'll see in kind of some of our participation numbers, kind of how our program exploded kind of during COVID, when it was safer for what we knew at the time to be outside. And so there were a lot of teachers that wanted to spend more time outside. There were campuses that wanted their kids outside more. Isaac was still at a campus at that time. He pretty much taught outside all year. So that's really one of the things that kind of draws all these different kind of initiatives and programs we have, is the importance of kids being connected to nature. And this really, was the man that kind of helped, you know, kind of be able to really start a movement of reconnecting children to nature. So this right here could be a all evening program. Who knows? Maybe Peggy did do it at one time, right, Peg? Yeah, see, she's nodding her head. Yes. So this Project Acorn stands for Alamo Area Children Organized to Replant Natives, and really began as the seed of an idea between Peggy Carnahan and Kent Page, who was a teacher at Northside ISD. He taught at a couple of different campuses. He started taking his students outside as part of a Master's of Science teaching program at Our Lady of the Lake. And he saw what a benefit it was, and the outcomes that were happening with his students. So they kind of had a lot of brainstorming sessions and came up with Project Acorn. And then what happened is, as Kent Page was in our district and he was at Carnahan Elementary, go figure, he really he really enabled and kind of had advocates with him for the district to really kind of buy into this program and put some funding and emphasis behind it. And so that's kind of how, so what we're sharing tonight started with an idea, and then we're going to kind of share how we developed it into a full-fledged program within our school district. So here's just some participation numbers just of the past 3 full school years. You'll see kind of a lot of students in 21-22. We had a very specific USDA grant. And because of how school was there, it was a lot of classroom sizes and not necessarily after school numbers, which is kind of the space that we live in. And so you'll see just from 22-23 to 23-24, every year we keep increasing the number of elementary campuses and middle school. And I think Isaac mentioned the number of elementaries, but we have 83 elementaries now in our school district and 21 middle schools. So of course our goal is to get, you know, to that max amount, and we're getting closer and closer every year. One of the things we were able to add a few years ago is a showcase for students at the end of the year. And you all are welcome to come. We'll make sure you get the invite. It's really amazing because these campus sponsors bring their students, and students are the ones doing presentations. And I'm talking like kindergarten, 1st grade through 8th grade. And it's amazing what they have to share. And they're really sharing what they've learned through the year, through their Project Acorn Club, and also kind of what kind of things they have restored on their campus. And so you'll see that very first year, it started with that USDA grant that we had. And then the superintendent came and he said, you can't let this go away, figure out how we can keep it going. And so we figured out how to do that. And so we had a huge showing the following 2 years at this showcase. And so that's definitely been an awesome bonus. So David wanted to make sure we shared kind of a lot of the funding that goes around this program. This has just been, I think we're going on our 3rd year of this. So before this, everything was grant funded. There was like nothing coming from our local funds. And so that changed 3 years ago. We were able to put in a proposal. And so what we have done is really kind of put some parameters around the program so that if campuses are interested, they know exactly what needs to be carried out. There's always flexibility, and we always want our teachers to feel like they have creativity to go whichever route they want. Do they want to focus on native plants specifically for birding? Do they want to focus for pollinators? We have some campuses that focus on vegetable gardening first. So being able for them to kind of follow their passions. And so the clubs really run pretty much a full school year. In May is when we have that Project Acorn showcase. So you can see a picture from last year's. Well, it is May, so we don't have it outside because it's really hot. But it's in one of the ag barns there at O'Connor. So we do have funding around teachers getting a stipend for running the club. And then we just ask them to initiate or maintain an area, have one community event where they're really doing an outreach to their campus. And this can be anywhere from like a cleanup garden day to planting new plants, and then participation in the showcase. And then they also have access to $300 per year for maintenance or startup. So like this year, we have a couple handfuls of new campuses coming in. And so they'll have access to that $300 right away to get something started while they're applying for grant funding. So we have gotten all kinds of grants through the years. This was just like a sampling of ones that we got. The US EPA one was back in 2015. And that's actually how initially I got started with Northside ISD, was through that grant. And for those that are familiar with the Hatch House over at the Butterfly Learning Center, I think it's still there. Yeah, okay, good. I see that. So that was actually one of the stipulations with the US EPA grant is we had to give away, we had to do like 2 micro grants, like mini grants to other organizations. So that was really awesome to be able to do that. Plus the second year of that grant, we actually had Project Acorn students come on field experiences to the BLC and be able to experience that space. And we had come up with different activities and everything while they were there. So you can just see a sampling of, you don't see the local ones so much, but that's okay. We also, like at Northside, we have our own education foundation. And so there's about 4 different cycles of grants that get offered. And we have a lot of Project Acorn teachers that apply for those grants throughout the year to expand or do other programs around their garden areas. Okay, some recent projects. We did have our annual kickoff, which this is usually our best attended meeting of the year. We had at the Los Reyes Elementary Garden this year. We had about 80 teachers participate, and we have 60 campuses signed up for this year, and that's just up from 51 last year. So we're really excited about that. And then one other interesting kind of intersection of native plants and nature and teacher well-being is this summer, we started a book club around braiding sweetgrass, which I'm sure a lot of people have read. Who's read that book? Go ahead, raise your hands. Let me see. All right. Anybody who hasn't, go pick it up after this or buy it on your tablet. So we really, there were some funds available around teacher retention, especially for new teachers. So I had proposed this book club and we met for 6 different sessions, and each time we met in a different nature space around the district. So it really helped connect teachers to places they hadn't been before, at least 2 or 3 teachers each time when we met somewhere they had not been there. So that was really awesome. Plus the themes of the book just really connected a lot of threads together. So it was really beautiful, very well received, great data just from those like 12 teachers that participated, but enough that I'm going to actually be running it again, and we're starting next week. So that's really exciting to be able to kind of have this space that has kind of the science, but also like this teacher, wellness. That's a really focus of the district as well, to be able to have that together. I think that's it. Yep. Okay. You're up.
Okay, so a lot going on with Acorn, and David will get to this point too, but we do collaborate quite a bit with all these initiatives that we're trying. But for the 5th grade environmental science, I am the one that attends these campuses. And so our mission as an environmental science program with these students is really just like, as Malia said, get them outside to learn and develop an appreciation for the environment. That's our primary goal. And it really, I was thinking, it sounds like such a innovative like thing to do at a campus, but it's really what we've been doing until we've had this change, and being on our tablets and computers all the time. It's really something that we should be doing more often. So what we do with my visits, they've kind of changed in the last 4 years that I've been in this position, but we've really focused on 3 things, and that's ecological restoration. So we only plant all native trees, flowers, and grasses with the students, and I'll kind of talk about that in more detail. We have also have participated in a variety of citizen science programs. Some of the ones I'm sure you're most familiar with are like iNaturalist, where students actually, I've had them use Seek, but I've always told them I prefer the iNaturalist app. So we've showed them how to use those and collect data, and try to identify the living organisms that they're looking at. And then we've also used Globe. Globe is a very well-known citizen science or international citizen science program, where we've done like atmospheric data collecting. Could go from clouds to air temperature, humidity, air pressure. And then we've even this Globe program, if you haven't looked into it in a while, it's really changed quite a bit. And they've really they're doing a lot more data collecting. And so we've recently started collecting last year data on trees with the Globe program. And then we really, and I'm really, one of my goals this year is really to up our field experiences that we give our fifth graders. So getting them to take a field trip. And there's several destination sites that they can go to, but that field experience is quite different from the experience that they get with us outside of their campus. And I'll show you why here in a minute of what these campuses look like. So that's just kind of an idea of what we're doing with the environmental program. So if you look here on the left-hand side, we have a map of Northside, and these are all our campuses. This is one of the images I use to help plan my year out and where I'm going to go for the year and how I visit the campuses. But what I want to point out is that, yeah, I think it's there. You can see the arrow. Right here, we have 1604, and then right here is I-10. So we have, and what I'm trying to point out here is that we really have, the campuses are very diverse themselves. We live, obviously, I know you all know, but we live in a very unique city, and we have a lot of different types of ecosystems. So just to kind of give you an idea, if you come up I-10, I mean, here's Camp Bullis over here. So it gets pretty far north, almost in Bernie area. And then our campuses stretch all the way down I-10 to 410. We have some campuses that are inside 410. So it's very, very different. And just to kind of give you an idea of how big our district is and is gonna and could possibly be is that Helotes area, which would be what, right somewhere around here, right, is the Helotes area. That is our epicenter of Northside. So Northside really has a lot of room to grow. And so who knows what it'll be in a few years. But we have noticed that the growth is slowing. Now, at these campuses, the environments are very different from one another. So, I have a picture up here of an environment. This is an older campus. It's some of the ones that I enjoy teaching at because they have old growth trees and more established ecosystems, I would say. You can kind of see that in the background. But the reality is this school right here is a campus that's only been open for 2 years. And this is really what they look here like at the bottom right-hand corner. Monoculture, pretty much just grass, no joke. There's one tree in the back of this campus. And these campuses are, 30 acres plus. They're pretty big. And so it's a really good opportunity to teach the kids about the importance of what's happening and what can we do to make it better. So that's what we're kind of focusing on. And so how do we do that? Well, and just kind of show you a difference. So again, we have 83 campuses. Not all of them are Acorn campuses. So when I'm at an Acorn campus, I really have a lot of fun because the biodiversity is increased tremendously with all the native plants that the Acorn campuses are planting. And so the two here on the left, and David again will test and talk much more about this, but these are two of the campuses that he helped with their Acorn projects at their campuses and designing the garden beds and then planting and selecting the plants for these areas. And there's just, it's hard to describe unless you're there, but it's just so much easier to do the lessons more engaging. The kids are more excited because there's a lot more to look at. These two on the right, these are just Acorn campuses that, some gung-ho teachers that have just taken it to the next level. This one here has been, she's been working on this campus now for, she's going maybe like 8-10 years plus, and you can just see how rich the environment is there in comparison to that other picture I just showed you in the last slide. And then what's really awesome is there is a company by the name of Bean & Stock who specializes in outdoor classroom equipment and, just to make the outdoor space more comfortable to learn in. And so one of our campuses was a recipient of a grant that they did. They offered to all the campuses in, I believe, was it United States, right? Yeah. nationwide. And so one of our campuses got selected, and you can see their outdoor learning area is much more comfortable now to have a class outside. So just to kind of let you know, like the Acorn campuses, we love those because they're a blast to be at with the students. When there's not a current garden at that campus, what do I do with my visit? So this idea was actually started by the founder, one of the founders of Acorn, which was Kent Page, as Amalia mentioned. He had this idea of starting demonstration sites, and he referred to them as thickets. You may have heard of thickets, or also referred to as tiny forest. And so the idea is you start with a space, a small manageable space, because again, you keep in mind that these are students that are not, this is their first time to plant. You know, every time I get to a campus, I'm like, okay, raise your hand if you've never put a plant in the ground before. And I would say, honestly, 75 to 90% of the students have never put a plant in the ground at the age of, 11, 12 years old. And so, we're kind of getting them in baby steps is what I really like the idea of a demonstration site. And so here's like an example of what a first year demonstration site looks like. So I think this one was planted like in the winter. No, we were doing this in the winter. So the tree here that you're looking at doesn't have any leaves. And I think we also did some seeds and we had some plants. And then it's always like an awesome feeling to go back the next year to see what's going on. And so here's kind of what a second year bed looks like. It's, to see what actually survived that summer, because there was getting no water during the summer. And then this one right here, I believe, is more like a 4.5, almost 5 years demonstration site, kind of see how the progress goes. And so here, you have this big Anakwa tree, and then you can't see it in the picture, but there's an Anacacho orchid tree right here, understory tree. Another one here's a Carolina buckhorn, and then like some blue millie sage and some other flowers. So we're really trying to create that healthy ecosystem of a well-balanced, layered ecosystem. This year, I've also tried, in this past years, I've tried to do pocket prairies as well in these, where we put native, we get our seeds of, different wildflowers, and we've tried that and had some success. Because if the students aren't going to water and take care of those plants, I usually try to give them an option where there's, the least amount of maintenance that they have to offer. So that's one of the things that we do. So, and the idea is, to increase them. So that was that pocket prairie we did that year. And then what we do is we fuse them up, right? We fuse them up and make them a bigger ecosystem. And so the idea is just to keep adding and adding year after year. It's when I first saw them, I was like, what was he doing? And then now that I'm doing this for a longer period of time, it makes a lot of sense. And it's a really good idea. So some of the flowering plants that we plant, I tried to get away from the demonstration sites just because I was like, maybe because they were in areas that weren't so accessible for the students to maintenance. Somewhere in the bus loop, somewhere at the front of the campus, somewhere, just areas that weren't easy to carry water, because there's no water source out there. So they're literally carrying like a gallon container of water and going to water the plants. And so we tried different things. We tried going to the front of the schools. We got a big rebate from SAWS to start off the irrigation systems, which has been great. But the droughts that we've experienced in these last few years have really made them an eyesore. And so we're trying to help fix that. But I've always noticed that the demonstration sites work the best. But just to kind of give you an idea, here's some kids planting at one of the campuses, adding to their front. And since this is the Native Plant Society, I wanted to make sure that, you kind of had an idea of what we're planting. So we have our Turk's claps, bluebonnets, and mistflower, a variety of, milkweeds. And then, of course, David is really well known for his Maximilian sunflowers. Every time I go to campus and I see this Maximilian sunflowers, I'm like, David's been here. We know David's been here. And so just kind of showing you, there's a really good picture of one of his flowers that he's donated. And we all know how awesome that plant could be. But, we have the acanthus and Blackfoot daisy and the fall asters, frog fruit, and some lyre trees too. So really good selection of plants, and really is kind of get these students an idea to, say, hey, I can do this at home too. It's not just something we do at school. So we really try to hit hard on why it's important to plant the native plants. So we also participate, like I told you, in that field experience with the students. And one of our more popular ones is a grass restoration project. And what that involves basically is that we, students will make like an easy 2-liter pot out of a recycled 2-liter, soda can maybe. And then we'll fill it up with dirt. And then we, there's this is in conjunction, this program is in conjunction with Government Canyon. And so we're actually helping restore some of the grasses they have out there. So they've been very specific in the grasses they want us to grow for them. And so the 4 include little bluestem, big bluestem, Indian grass, and Texas side oats grama are the 4 that we do with a Government Canyon. And so what they do is we put them in these milk crates, they water them for the pretty much for a big chunk of the year. They get these things to grow, and then they take, here's some that kind of sprouted. You can see here that what they look like when they first start to sprout, but then they go to Government Canyon, they get on that bus, take their grasses with them, and then they participate in that restoration project along with some other activities that they do, and they have a blast. We've gotten some feedback from the teachers and the students, and they really, really enjoy that experience, because so often we would plant these things in the bottles and nothing would happen with them, you know. And so there's a point for these, right? So they get they get to see the bigger picture, is what I'm trying to say. So that's one of our favorites, or one of the students' favorites. And then here's we do plant some of the grasses on the campus as well. We've done side oats and little bluestem, and the inland sea oats is a very popular one. But we do make sure to include those into the campuses as well. One of the other ecological restoration projects that we're doing is focusing on the native trees. As I showed you, that one campus had 1 tree in the back, and I know that sounds crazy, and it is kind of crazy, but you know, our district is just so big, and there's just so much that our maintenance and facilities department can do, right? And so one of a person, another fellow master naturalist, put us in contact with an organization called Bare Branches Alliance. They're making a really big name for themselves lately. So I don't know if I'm sure many people are familiar with them, but they have been one of the most amazing partners that we met last year to embark on this canopy project, where we're trying to, well, we have the same goal. Their goal is to increase the canopy around San Antonio, and we're having the same goal, increasing our canopy at our Northside campuses. And so we came up with this. Let me see here. Yeah, we came up with the word canopy. Of course, in education, we have to have acronyms for everything. And so it stands for cultivating and nurturing our planet's youth. We had an art contest. You know, we told the students what we're doing at these 5 campuses. We started with 5 campuses last year. And we told them what we were doing and what our goal was and why we're doing it. Why is this important? What's been happening? And we had an art contest for a logo, and this was the winning. We had like hundreds of submissions, but this is the one that our team voted on, and we thought it really summarized the program really well. But in this program, through the canopy program, we networked with a lot of people. There was a lot of people that were involved. I even see some familiar faces of people that came out and helped us during that time. But Texas A&M Forest Service helped us with grants. American Youth Works was out there, had a young group of people out there teaching the students how to plant these trees properly. HEB has this, I'm sure you've heard, Trees for Texans. They were involved in helping fund, along with American Forest. And what I'm really happy to report is that all 5 of the campuses last year that participated in this huge tree planting project became a tree campus, K through 12. And the one thing I didn't tell you about the trees that we're planting at these campuses, so it's 100+ trees at each campus, right? And these are not like your 1-gallon size trees or 2-gallon size. They're like 15 to 30, some of them were even 30-gallon size trees. So they're big trees. And so Bare Branches is really the one that helped us kind of figure out how to get this done. And really it's the watering. They're watering these trees for the first 3 years to get that establishment. And the trees look great. We've had a really good survival rate after this first summer. So really excited about the program and really excited to expand that program. Now, you might be wondering, well, how did we select 5 campuses out of the 83 campuses? So Bare Branches used a tool called iTree. I'm not sure if many people are familiar with that, but it's incredible. I haven't particularly had a chance to use it yet. They're going to be training me in how to use that for the next campuses that we're going to be doing. But just kind of something about my city's trees is that you can get all kinds of data. And so some of the data I want to just kind of give you an idea of why we selected the trees that we did, or the campuses that we did. Were because we looked at the Heat Island map here at San Antonio, and just to kind of give you an idea, because I know you can't see the roads here. So this is like inside 410 right here. This is like 1604 like right here, and then this is going to be kind of like going towards Bernie and McAndrew Elementary. So just to kind of give you an idea of what you're looking at here, but you can see that all the 5 campuses that we chose the first round were closer to 410. So right in this major heat island area. We also looked at data social vulnerability. And again, the data is there. I'm not going to go too much in detail with these. I just want to show you what we used to select these campuses. And we also looked at equity scores as well, tree equity scores around the city too. And so again, it always led us back to this area, which I'm sure we can all understand that. Just some really quick benefits of Project Canopy to the broader community. I mean, we avoided, this is all calculated by Bare Branches, by the way, using iTrees, but yeah, we avoided 71,000 pounds of CO2. Look at how much we sequestered, 843,000, right? Almost 804. We also tied in some electricity that was saved, fuel that was saved, and some tree biomass as well. And then they even calculated the rainfall interception too, which I thought was really cool. So really good positive things coming from this program. Yep. And so the trees that we plant, again, all native. Just a few of the list, the species that we selected, but really happy to get lacy oaks other than live oaks, right, in these campuses. Flame leaf sumacs, Texas redbuds, cedar elms, even Eve's necklace and Anaqua trees, which are some of my favorite. And then of course the Anacacho desert willows and the great shade Mexican sycamore tree. So really good plants, so really good tree selection. And then here's kind of what it looks like, because it's not something that any of us here in the San Antonio area have done. And so it was really kind of figuring out how the logistics. And so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Here's one of the campuses that we planted at. It's a mass effort, man. There's a lot of people out there that are involved, loading up these trees in the in the trailer, hauling them around, just making. I mean, the first campus we did, it was like, okay, we'll do this different, we'll do this different. And so it's just an awesome thing to be part of, really, and full of gratitude. And what makes it all the best is like all the people that we work with, we're all like-minded people. And you can just see the smiles on the faces of these kids that planted. And, they just really appreciate the experience, enjoyed the experience. And this is really what we should be doing more at our campuses. And so I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to David.
So we're going to look at a little bit about some of the campuses, some more specific pictures. Again, all these pictures that we're showing you are from our campuses. So it's interesting to know. Our restorative processes here on some campuses will have pocket prairies or small demonstration sites. They could be very large. This is up almost an acre of one of the schools, but it also incorporates gardening as well. So our ACORN program addresses both. Central office. Here we have our central office. As you can see, this is after we've cleaned it out. Boxwoods, red tip photinias, all those important plants that we really need in our landscape, and dead, dying St. Augustine. We got a grant, HEB grant, and we had it cleared out. The district came out. We showed them the plans, and they were, I think, a little excited about it. They went ahead and put in a sidewalk that would be ADA accessible. That's very important in our campuses. So maintenance came out, did some work there. And that's what it looked like 3 years after. Again, all natives, got rid of the red tips, which were half dead anyways. But fall aster, great mistflower, you can see the variety of plants that we have there. I don't recall exactly how many plants, but it's an ongoing process. It was so nice that they brought in picnic tables and benches. So it is now being used. Along one side, again, we have two large heritage oaks. So it's important that we adjust our planting, make sure we had shade plants such as Turk's caps, American beautyberry, and of course, educational signage, which we're trying to spread throughout the district. But if you go to the Northside Central Office, you will see those signs. And I think a lot of the staff there were coming out and observing the flowers and the plants and stuff. That way they could find out, oh, what do I need to go to see? And again, our campuses will have this where it gives them a small description. the water demand, and of course, what wildlife does it attract? Some of our school projects, again, incorporating students in helping in the design, learning about the plants. Is it going to be a shady garden, part shade? So that has to be incorporated in that. Here they constructed a large butterfly shape. Again, a community event. We like having the community parents come out and help with the planting. Another school chose the front of the school over in the upper left. I think that's Henderson Elementary School. They had the H there, so we decided to do some landscaping around the H. Otherwise, there's not much landscape there. This was a group of 2nd and 3rd graders that I worked with. And about 3 months later, I don't know, the soil there, it's got a lot of steroids in it, but Isaac and I we just can't believe the amount of growth that we have in these. Again, one side is going to have a little bit more shade, so we made sure that inland sea oats and Turk's caps, but you can see one of my favorites is the 4-nerve daisies, milkweeds, acanthus. Some of our other schools, Lost Race in the upper left-hand corner. Helotes, they do not have a lot of, I mean, they're kind of landlocked right on Highway 16. So they have this patio and they decided to put their native plants in that courtyard area. Carnahan Elementary School, that is an ongoing process. Some of our newer schools have these large masses of land in the middle of the campus. It's all secure, it's all in fence. They've added some outdoor classroom, some birding, native plants, and peach trees, I believe, is one of the projects that they've added to it. I think they've got their first crop of peaches this past year. Again, another campus showing you their theme of a butterfly, showing the biodiversity, one of the things that these kids need to know about as far as planting. And yes, there's my Maximilian in the middle. We're also encouraging pocket prairies or wildflower meadows. So here the kids are spreading. We took rope stakes and staked out this area so that we could minimize the amount of mowing, which is constantly going on. And so we put the stakes up with the twine, and the kids went out and I think they had some seed balls, and they also sowed the seeds out. And then the following spring, they ended up having a pretty good wildflower area. Again, some of our other campuses, the one in the center is more of a campus beautification project between the parking lot and the front of the school. Again, 4-nerve daisies. I think there's goldenrod in there. Far left, that campus, and you'll see that again, has the acanthus, Greg's mistflower. In the back is passion vine. And again, signage. We also incorporate the gardening, part of the Acorn. Teachers can build their gardens. And in this case, the one in the lower left, they've got both pollinator gardens and a vegetable garden. 3 of our schools last year received, or the year before, 2 years ago, received Texas Parks and Wildlife bird grants. And so the kids were able to learn about birding. Binoculars were handed out. Here they're constructing this bird garden. And again, focusing on plants that attract birds. Again, I believe they part of this grant allowed them to go on field trips. They took 3 field trips. Each school took 3 field trips. One to Mitchell Lake, one to Cibolo, and the other one was here at Harburger, where they had guides and they were using their binoculars and identifying birds and some of the ecosystems that attract certain birds. San Antonio River Authority, working with Lee 1 year. She led me to this watershed wise grant. We received that grant. Isaac also at his school received it, I think, the following year. We had a new building, a new science wing built. And as you can see on the left, we have a little issue with the drainage. This district's site plans called for a 4-foot wide concrete drainage ditch. That's not what we wanted. So we brought in the landscape architects, which were hired by the SAWS, San Antonio River Authority. I asked them to come in, these landscape architects, come in and work with the kids. So that, of course, they were aware of, through their classes in their environmental science club, what plants, which plants would go where in shade, sun, and in this rain garden environment. So they're planning with one of the landscape architects. Then each group, and I think we had like 4 different groups, came up and presented their design, what they wanted, what their vision of the rain garden there at that school. And that's the artist's rendering that they took from that. They did incorporate some of it. And of course, it being an artist rendering, no, we didn't get all of that. But they did incorporate some of the kids' ideas. So construction began up in the upper left. Again, we're in Northwest out by the medical center. So we had about 2 inches of soil. Everything else is limestone. Upper right, they constructed 4 rain gardens, laid it with the river rock. And then through Native Plant Society, I was able to get a grant. I think it was 2016, I think. Normally, Sarah has the contractor buy those plants, but because of the size of this budget went over. And so I said, I'll work on a grant for the plant. So we appreciate the Native Plant Society and winning that grant for these. Jake Owls was the head landscape architect at Sarah. He has done several landscape bioswales, garden water-wise grants throughout the city. This is probably, I think, one of the biggest ones. And he insisted that the landscapers plant the plants. And I couldn't figure out, no, Jake, we got to have the kids. We have to have the kids involved. They've got to get their hands, they got to buy into this. And so he said, well, since we're not buying the plants, we'll do it. He came out and he was amazed at what the kids were doing. I think it turned around. I understood from his perspective that the guarantee on the plants was important, but since we were ownerships of those plants. So he got out there that morning and that afternoon and helped with the kids. As you can see how that bioswale bioretention works. And again, in the lower pictures, you see what it looks like a couple of years after that. And of course, they bring out a nice little sign. And again, it's an educational sign. The teachers will use these signs, part of their classroom assignments. Kids go out into this large acreage of another grant was the National Wildlife Federation. Here again, the kids help in the design on the side of the building. Football fields over there on the left. Plants were selected. I think we had 96 plants that we brought in, and that was a grant as well. And that's kind of what it looks like today. Part of the design was because we had water coming off the tennis courts. Part of that design, we built kind of like a creek, but right before in this area right here is an intake. All the gutters go underground, and they have one intake here. So we dug a little bit deeper so that it would hold water. And so there you see some of that water standing as part of the rain garden effect. We have, again, all of our campuses, we take teachers for work, teacher workshops, and they learn about the makeup of these gardens. And I turn it back over to Amalia.
Okay, so we have an exciting project moving forward, or so we hope. Nothing's concrete. But here are our dreams and processes are happening. And what we have envisioned is an outdoor learning center. And Isaac and I found out about a property that the school district had that hadn't been utilized, developed yet. So we started thinking about an outdoor learning center and proposing it on up the chain of power. So we right here at McAndrew Elementary School, this is you see way out and off I-10 as you're going to Bernie. It's that Bernie Stage Road to Toutant Beauregard. And at the time, there was land purchase for an elementary school with an adjacent middle school. And so that middle school won't ever really be built just because of how the population and housing is in that area. So that's kind of the property that we are looking at and that we've proposed. So I'm just going to actually show you, hopefully. Oh no, hold on. Whoops, did I just close out of our presentation? Hold on. Possibly. All right, technical support, sorry. I thought I was just closing out of the drone footage. Oh no, here we go. I see it underneath. There we go. Yay! Okay, I guess I should have, I can bring it maybe up again at the end, but basically it's a very open, let me see, actually, I think we have another picture. There we go. There's the bird's eye view. So here's McAndrew here, here's the front parking lot and bus loop, and here is a little less than 30 acres of the adjoining property. So there is kind of a flood event watershed area here. And so we would be building a driveway here with a very small parking lot because we plan to utilize this with an outdoor learning center, a small structured pond, and some walking paths. And so this is something that's gone to our cabinet, that has gone to our academics committee where our board members sit. And we're just thinking of ways to move this project forward. So it's very exciting. What we're hoping to have, just to give you a little bit of vision of the outdoor learning center, Isaac and I were able to go to the DFW area this past spring, and we toured about 5 different environmental education sites. And this one is very recent in Louisville ISD. They had the property for quite a while, but they were able to build this outdoor learning center just about 5 years ago, I want to say, where they had 4 different indoor-outdoor classrooms. And this is really what we had kind of envisioned for our space. And you can kind of see this small pond here. I'm just going to kind of breeze through these. This is just examples of the paved areas we would look at. And different kind of natural, spaces with low impact development pieces at the outdoor learning center. So in Northside, our mission is to transform the learning experience for students so that every day, every student grows in confidence, curiosity, and capability. And so the Outdoor Learning Center would also provide a space to carry this mission and vision forward. We're hoping that it will be focused on 3rd through 5th grade students to connect a lot of concepts that are scored, that students score lower on in the STAR test, right? And not just because it's on the STAR test, but it's like concepts that they need to know for life. And so that's one of the things that we would focus on first. And then we're also hoping that it can be utilized by the district for staff retreats, for professional development, just like we use a lot of the classrooms. And we're also hoping to have it open to the public at least one day a month as well. So that's a quick shot of an upcoming project, because we have a whole slideshow on that too. But I think that wraps it up. So questions or, okay?
John's keeping track of any questions on chat. There's not any yet. Does anyone have questions? Oh, we got questions in here. Just for the Zoom audience, if you could repeat the question. Thank you.
So this is more of a comment. I'm in a group called Impact San Antonio. If you've never heard of it, we are people who crowdfund $500,000 every year for 5 grants. And one of those grants every year is for something environment. And it would be great if you would apply for it. We're giving out our next round of grants actually in 2 weeks. But we'll take grants again next year. So if you want to give me your information, I'd be happy to tell you how to sign up for those.
Awesome, thank you. The comment was around Impact San Antonio, and we are aware of it because we've talked about it. So one of the benefits of our school district that we realized after visiting a lot of other folks, especially in that DFW area, is our school district has its own grants and recognition department. And so whereas a lot of people are having to write grants and do the program at the same time, we do some grant writing, but our grant writers really help us through that process and are integral into the whole piece. So they are always coming to us based on the programs and initiatives we have going on, like Canopy, like Project Acorn, to help us with that. So we actually have talked about Impact San Antonio around the Outdoor Learning Center and providing some of the shade spots along the trail in collaboration with our Construction Careers Academy High School. And so we'll be coming your way. Don't worry. We already have it in the works for next year. Thank you. Oh, who's calling? Okay.
My name is Karen Wheeler. I taught environmental science at Randolph High School for about 20 years. And what I was wondering is we did all these activities here, which I think is incredible, because these kids are going to go tell their parents, we don't have enough biodiversity here, and why don't we plant some of these plants, and the parents probably never heard of them, and this is going to really go far for our city. But I was wondering how you incorporated this in with grades, because environmental science, you don't have to have that to graduate from high school. But these other kids are much younger, and they're like, I heard somebody, or you had Star Test up there and other things. When they come with you, are you their teacher? Do you give them grades? Or is this something that's done as like a guest speaker?
Sure. So, okay, so the question was kind of the logistics on how we run the environmental program with the campuses. And so the way we run it is there's a lot of coordination that goes on involved. So, we communicate with the teacher. And the thing too is that this program has existed now for how many years now, Malia? Like this is my 4th year in the position, but my predecessor was there for, I think, 4 years. And then before that, there was another woman who was doing this for, I would say, another 4 years. So it's in a program that's had some longevity. It's just kind of we've had to make some changes throughout its existence to continue to make it work. But basically, yeah, it's a lot of coordination with the teachers, the principals, and letting them know what they can expect when I arrive to do the lesson. And if you've been in education, you know that our teachers really can't handle another piece of responsibility or another task. And so we're very good about not burdening them and really taking care of everything. Like I get there a couple weeks before, we prep the area, see what needs to, what survived, what didn't survive, what can we add, make my list. And then have that ready to go. And so when I go to the campus, then I can just implement that lesson. And so, what you don't really understand too about some of our campuses is they could have anywhere from 2 fifth grade classes all the way to 9 fifth grade classes. Some of these bigger campuses have up to 9 classes, and so it gets a little tricky. But the teachers, the first year I came in, they were kind of like hesitant. And now it's like, yeah, come on, let's do it. What are we going to add this year? And so we've kind of gotten the buy-in, and everybody sees the importance of it and really enjoys the lesson. They see the benefits with the kids, and it's getting easier. I mean, it's not easy, but it's getting easier. So, honestly, it's really our team. We have a outstanding team. We have other team members obviously that are not here today, but it takes a team to make something like this happen. And we just have an incredible team. So yeah.
All the way in the back.
Oh.
Oh.
You guys are so special and
It's so special.
and secondarily, have you had a need for like any bilingual or Spanish program in this one? And congratulations, wonderful.
Oh, thank you. So the question was, are there other districts doing similar initiatives? And then part of this, the second question was, how do we service our bilingual students on these visits? And so a lot of times during the visit, since I am I am the only environmental teacher there with the teacher, the classroom teacher, and the students. And so a lot of times it's really neat to see a lot of students will actually translate for me to their peers along with the teachers. And then a lot of our instruction guides were moving some of the instructions that I provide at the campus visits. We're having one of our departments doing the translations for that as well. So to kind of help that run smoother. Now, as far as other districts that are doing initiatives, I think Molly could probably talk more about that. There's some other ones out there. Did you want to say something about that one? Because there are other ones.
Yeah, there's definitely other districts doing similar lines of things. I know SAISD has a pretty big initiative with some of their campuses. When I was going to Texas Children and Nature meetings as well, East Central ISD had quite a few things going on at one point too, and everybody kind of has their different way they got started, so it's kind of how they're funded. So I think we're unique in regards to what our department was able to formulate, and really the vision of our predecessors in kind of the 5th grade environmental science program for sure, because that's been going on longer than I'm aware of anybody else having a program like that. And then of course what Peggy and Kent brought through Project Acorn to be able to kind of weave everything together has, I think, been unique as far as kind of in school districts in San Antonio. All right, all the way in the back this time.
Hi there, I want to thank you guys. You did such an amazing presentation, and your work in space is just inspirational. She kind of touched on my question, which was, do you liaise with other campus, or do you have counterparts in other campus? I'm sorry, in other districts? I was specifically thinking, with any ISD, because what you built is this wealth of just process information. And if we could translate that, I think, to districts that aren't doing as much of this kind of work, maybe train a few folks in other districts, kind of on what you're doing, it'd be nice to be able to create this habitat, if you will, or sort of the stream that goes across different schools.
Yeah, I think, Texas Children and Nature Network, the San Antonio chapter here, is very active and has a large showing. So even when we go to the summit every year in December, like San Antonio and Austin has huge collaboratives. So I have shared a lot of information in that space to people that have kind of similar roles. The other pieces that we're finding, there is a lot of support through the region service centers. So like if you've heard of Region 20, that would be the service center, education service center for San Antonio. And so there's been some various collaborations around early childhood and the time that our pre-K students are spending outdoors and learning outdoors or exploring outdoors. And then we have a recent collaboration going on actually for a summit, hopefully in February, where we're going to really look at having principals who have really kind of bought into this space and share how they see the culture on their campus changing, how they see those academic outcomes changing for their students and their social and emotional well-being. And so that is kind of, we're realizing like utilizing the region service centers and all the different connections they have across the school districts and charter schools is really helpful. And so we have like 3 different region service centers in that conversation right now. And so like to your point, like sometimes it's hard to go from district to district, especially if you have different initiatives going on each year and maybe you don't have like an Amalia in another place, you know, and who is that person? And so the ESCs have been super helpful and we're really utilizing that a lot. And that's really like, I mean, when Isaac and I went to Dallas in the spring, like the Region Service Center had set up the tours for us and connected everybody together. So it's super helpful to use them as a resource.
We do have a question on chat.
Well, it's not exactly a question, it's more of kudos. Number 1, Pat Manis says hello to Amalia and Isaac. And she says, I can share firsthand that our students in NISD really enjoyed Project Acorn and love the showcase at the end of the year. It's a beautiful event that everyone should come see. Bravo to Amalia, Isaac, and David. And then she says, they provide a lot of training and support for us to feel empowered to work with our students outdoors. So.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, that's it. Thanks so much. There were like so many things we could go through and we like kept eliminating slides because we're like, okay, we got to trim it down. We got to trim it down. We got to trim it. But we do provide like monthly spaces for the Project Acorn teachers that are open to any teacher. So even if they're not doing Project Acorn, but the training sounds interesting to them, we welcome them. And that really helps teachers. I mean, it's amazing to see a teacher that has decided to sponsor Project Acorn or sometimes was voluntold to do it on their campus. And to see them come in and be like, I don't even know what you're talking about with this native plants. Like, you're going to have to tell me 20 times before this sinks through. And then like see them 4 years later and they're like telling other teachers about what they did and how to do it. And you see their posts on social media and they're outdoors on the weekend doing all kinds of stuff. They set up a field trip for their Project Acorn students. Like, that's what gets to me, and look, I have goosebumps already. So I mean that we try to provide as much support as we can.
One more question?
Yeah, great work. I just was wondering, do you do any kind of seed collection activities, either education or use by students?
So the question was, do we do any seed collection and use those seeds to plant with the students? And yes, we do. My predecessor, Kim Page, was very big into seed collecting. I had been in school gardens beforehand and was really just mostly working with transplants. But I learned a great deal from him. And then of course, so he was mostly with the tree seeds specifically, because you just can't purchase native tree seeds, and especially in bulk. And so Molly would make the joke that during fall, it's like an acorn. I mean, he's like a squirrel, and he was out there collecting all these different seeds as much as he could, because, you know, with honestly 83 campuses, you're working with like 7,500, almost 8,000 fifth graders. And so you're giving them the opportunity to plant these seeds. So you need a big seed bulk. And so I was doing that in the beginning. And now I am purchasing my seeds from like Native American seed and doing more of some of like the wildflowers with them. I do get some of the more common native tree seeds and plant with them. And that's usually when we make those bottles and do that with the students. And then like for the grass restoration project that we do with the seeds, I do purchase those. So yes, there's always room for that, and would like to continue to do that. We're just, you know, making changes throughout the years to see what works, what the kids are enjoying the most. But that honestly has been one of my favorite activities with them, is growing seed that's been collected from hand. Yeah. Right.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we've got some plants still in the back if you're in the room, and don't forget about the moth setup if you're in the room around the corner to see if they've attracted any really cool moths. Thanks everyone for joining us.